OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody, it's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC podcast and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. I'm not going to waste time with an introduction, I'm just letting you know it's freezing here, so do not mind me in my pajamas and in my dressing gown. I am trying to stay warm and I didn't want to wear my hoodie this week because I've picked up on the pattern that I've been wearing it throughout the last couple of reviews, so I wanted to make sure that it didn't look like that's the only clothing I own. Anyway, let's get straight into the Monday Night Raw review for this week. Now, Raw started off with us seeing Ilya Dragunov, Bron Breakker, CM Punk, and the Judgment Day arriving. We find out that Ilya and Bron are going to be facing each other later on in the evening, and whoever wins the match will determine who the contender is to go up against Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. Gunther makes his way out to the ring to cut a promo, and he starts off by saying he wants to explain himself, and he's taken some time to reflect upon the things he said to Damian Priest last week, and there's a moment where the crowd kind of turns on him and he goes, you know what, I kind of agree with everything I said. I meant every word. Damian and everybody here are just complete bums, and what's at stake is nearest and dearest to me, the reputation, the prestige, and the honor of this sport and the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian does not live up to that, and it's a cute sob story, and you know, it doesn't really cover up what kind of a pretender that you have been and a wannabe that you have been with this championship. The Judgment Day will be judged by the Ring General because you're all street trash, and he says, Damian, for the last time, I'm going to give you one generous offer for you to come out here and just hand me my championship. So Damian marches out to the ring. He literally goes straight into the ring, looks at Gunther and just like decks him in the face, and they both just start brawling. A whole bunch of officials come out to try and separate the pair of them. They start brawling down the entrance ramp as well too. It was very chaotic, and then we had a commercial break. But when we come back from said commercial break, Jackie Redmond is backstage and she sees that Gunther is standing there alone, and she's like, I'm going to try and talk to him, figure out what's going on. And then the brawl just continues. Damian and Gunther are just going at it backstage, and I'm so incredibly behind this. I just love seeing Damian Priest in this way, and I feel like Gunther's aura is just like chef's kiss at this point. We had our first match of the night, which was Ilya Dragunov taking on Bron Breakker. Now, as I mentioned earlier, whoever wins this match will be going up against Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam this year. This match was really good. It was really impressive. I feel as though I've spoken a lot about Bron and Ilya as of late because they've had the same match for the last couple of weeks, but I'm not complaining. I feel like these two have really great in-ring chemistry. I actually wrote that in my notes that Bron and Ilya have amazing in-ring chemistry together, and so this match definitely did not disappoint me. Bron starts out on top and he takes Ilya out, and then Ilya ends up hitting Bron with a really brutal knee, and then we end up seeing Bron dropping Ilya on the top of the ring post, and we have a commercial break. But when we come back, we end up seeing Bron hitting Ilya with the knees to the gut, and he starts selling that move throughout the rest of the match. Ilya ends up countering one of Bron's moves with a really nice DDT, and we see the Constantine special come in. Ilya ends up picking up Bron and then ends up slamming him down, kind of like a pop-up powerbomb style. Bron ends up hitting the Frankensteiner, and then there's a moment outside of the ring where I think Bron hits Ilya with a spear, and he ends up hitting his head along the side of the ring apron, and so the referee calls the match there and basically just says, due to Ilya not being able to participate any further within this match, the winner is Bron Breakker, so he will be going up again against Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. We obviously saw him go up against him at Money in the Bank. I think this is a great way to rematch both Sami and Bron. I feel like we've seen Bron really go ahead and show his more brutal side since Money in the Bank, so I feel like this is a really great way to introduce that rematch to us, but make it feel a little bit fresher, considering you're giving both Sami and Bron a little bit more of a character edge, if that makes sense. We head backstage where we go to the Judgment Day clubhouse. Now everyone's just straight up vibing. Rhea's talking about how Damian's going to be sorting out his World Heavyweight Championship status and how the tag titles are obviously still in the Judgment Day and how she's working towards getting that women's title back. And Dom is really worried about Rhea. She's like, obviously trying to hit up Jay, and Dom's like, I don't know how I feel about my mommy trying to get with Jay, and then Rhea's like, well, that's funny because I've seen what's been happening on socials with you and Liv, and I'm like, you tell him, queen. Anyway, So they kind of end up deciding that they want to take care of Jey Uso, which Rhea's like, I don't know why you want to pick a fight with him. That's one of the stupidest things that you could do. But boys will be boys, and once they get an idea in their heads, they will not let it go. Speaking of will not let it go, that was a really great segue. I feel like Reese would be so proud of that one. We see Adam Pearce and Drew McIntyre backstage. He's been reinstated. He's no longer suspended. And the two same referees that he was saying he wasn't going to apologize to last week were there as well. So I can only assume he apologized. The Alpha Academy is celebrating Akira Tozawa's birthday, so happy birthday, Akira, and thank you for everything that you do for the Alpha Academy. It does not go unnoticed. We head back to the ring where we have a kind of short match between Lyra Valkyria and Sonya Deville. This was off the back of last week. Obviously, those two got into a bit of an altercation outside of the ring. Sonya looked really dominant in this match. She gets the upper hand on Lyra, but Lyra quickly turns the match around, and both of the women's quickness is on display. Sonya ends up taking a breather outside of the ring, and then after the commercial break, Lyra ends up hitting a superplex. She also hits a really nice kick to Sonya. Obviously, Zoe and Shayna are both in the corner of Sonya, and we have Kaden and Katana in the corner of Lyra. Now, Shayna goes to distract the ref. Zoe ends up knocking Lyra off the top of the ring ropes, and then the other tag team just gets into it with both Shayna and Zoe. Oh my god, they just need to come up with a team because my S's and my Z's are just getting so incredibly screwed up in my brain. But we end up seeing Sonya hit the Devil's Advocate to secure the win. I love how Sonya is looking incredibly dominant at the moment. I think she absolutely deserves it. She's an incredible powerhouse, and considering these three women are in a faction together, just give them all the gold straight away. Michael Cole mentions that we will be getting a Wyatt 6 video. Now, obviously, this is a Nikki Cross style video. He didn't say it was Nikki Cross. He literally just said we're going to be hearing from the woman who's been delivering us the tapes over the last couple of weeks. So you can hear Uncle Howdy in the background, and he goes, "Look at yourself. They lied to you. They ignored you. They watched you suffer in solitude. I have been the answer all along." And then we see a whole bunch of different black and white imagery of the mask, and there's a moment where Nikki ends up crying and screaming to the camera. We see CM Punk is backstage, and he makes his way out to the ring, and he starts off by asking, "It's obviously great to be alive here in Green Bay. I saw my surgeon on Saturday, and he said that I am officially cleared, and I obviously want to fight and get my pound of flesh," and he begs Drew to come out to get the beating. Then we end up seeing CM Punk start to tape his wrist. Drew McIntyre's music hits. He says he's been waiting so long for this, and nothing is going to stop him from tearing him apart from the fact that he doesn't want to. Then Punk ends up leaving the ring. He ends up running down to Drew, and a whole bunch of security ends up coming down. Drew McIntyre says to Punk, "You need to control your emotions. When I control my emotions, I do it like this." He pulls out the bracelet, and then Adam comes out and basically just mentions that we will be getting CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, and I'm so happy that it is official. I have been praying for this match to happen. I'm so happy that it is. But then we also see my boy Seth freaking Rollins comes out to the ring, and he starts talking about how he knows somebody who's really into creating hate and chaos, and how he's not a problem guy. He is in fact a solution guy. And he mentions that he is going to be the special guest referee for this match at SummerSlam, and oh my god. Like, literally both of their faces, Punk and Drew, when he said that, they were both like, "What the hell, dog?" But what did you expect? I mean, you've involved Seth Rollins in this entire thing with you two this entire time. Punk screwed Rollins out of the title at Money in the Bank, and obviously Drew and Rollins have their own issues, so I'm so excited that this is happening. It literally has just completely made my entire life, because this feud, if you guys have not been watching the podcast, honestly, I always talk about this feud because it makes me so incredibly happy. It's just one of the best feuds, and like I say, we have not seen them in the ring ever, so the fact this is going to be their first one-on-one contest together, just so excited. Judgment Day boys are going around backstage as they are looking for Jey Uso, and we see Dominic and Finn splitting off from Carlito and JD, and then Dom is walking by himself because Finn's gone to do something for 1 minute, and he runs into Liv Morgan, and Liv's like, "Look, I really hate sneaking around," and she starts trying to talk to Dom, and Dom's like, "I literally don't care, me and Rhea are perfect right now, just leave me alone." Finn comes in and he's all confused as to why. He's like, "I literally leave you alone for 1 minute and you can't even just like ignore her." Kathy's catching up with Sammy, and now she's asking about how Braun is obviously the contender, the number one contender, in fact, for the Intercontinental Championship. And she's like, "Are you concerned at all about anything to do with how you're going to go up against him?" And he's like, "I'm not concerned. If anything, Bron has earned it. I'm taking him seriously, but I don't want him to make the same mistake that he did at Money in the Bank. I'll bring my 100% if you bring your 100%. And then we end up hearing some commotion backstage, and we end up seeing that the Judgment Day have found Jey Uso, and they are beating down on Jey, and Sammy goes to save Jey Uso. We love a bloodline brother who just supports through and through. We had a super quick match. Now this is a tag match, 6-man tag. Final Testament taking on Xavier Woods and the Alpha Academy, so Otis and Akira. This was really good. The crowd was super behind Otis, obviously, because I think he's from Green Bay. That's exactly where it was happening, or he's from that general area. But anyway, Xavier Woods is in control at the beginning, and then AOP end up taking over. And then the Alpha Academy ends up coming to help Xavier, and then Tozawa's just got like a bunch of energy. I mean, for a birthday boy, you would think he has, right? He was eating some cake earlier. I want cake, but I can't have cake. Anyway, after the commercial break, we end up seeing AOP just absolutely maul Akira, and then Karrion comes in and throws Akira across the ring. Otis gets a crazy reaction and he hits the caterpillar. Then Karrion ends up stopping the party. He ends up dropping Xavier, and he obviously secures the win. Chad Gable comes out with the Creed brothers after this match, and we come back from a commercial break where he said, "I've asked you to stay out here tonight because I want to help you. You chose to team with Xavier Woods and you lost tonight. Your brain is not your strong suit, and that's why I have recruited the Creed brothers. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you guys to come back to the Alpha Academy, to join your coach again, and to rejoin the team." And Otis is basically like, no, we're not doing it. He goes off on him, which I'm like, thank goodness. And he mentions how the Wyatt Six are after everybody and that you'll get protection by being with me, which I don't understand how that's happening, but anyway, the Creed brothers end up going after Otis and Tozawa, and then we see Otis end up getting driven into the ring barricade shoulder first. The Wyatt Six music hits, and the faction comes out, and Uncle Howdy is standing in the ring behind Chad Gable and hits Chad with a Sister Abigail. And as soon as I saw the move, Michael Cole didn't even mention anything. I was just like, wow. Like, I was just so happy not only to see the move come back, be used in the ring scenario, but to see Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy using the Sister Abigail for the first time in what feels like forever. I got emotional seeing that, and I'm getting emotional talking about it because it's like, holy crap, like, I mean, Mia's crying. That's how happy she was. I don't know if you heard that, but anyway, it was really awesome to see that move come back out of Bo's arsenal. I feel like that was really cool, and if that's how they're going to pay tribute to Bray throughout this entire Wyatt Six scenario that they have going on the main roster, I feel like there is no better way to pay tribute to Bray Wyatt than that. Have a match, which I shouldn't really be calling it a match, but anyway, Bronson Reed was going to be going up against Pete Dunne, and Sheamus ends up attacking Pete Dunne before the match even starts, and then Sheamus and Bronson end up beating the hell out of each other. Sheamus hits the 10 beats, but before that happens, we end up seeing Pete escape before Sheamus hits the brogue kick, so the match kind of happened, but not really. I did get to hear Pete Dunne's new theme song, and I'm really not behind it. I made a video about it on TikTok earlier. I don't understand why we never got to have Bruiserweight on the main roster, and they literally called him the Bruiserweight, and I'm like, cool, you've got a theme song called Bruiserweight, why can't you just use it? Anyway, Judgment Day are backstage licking the wounds of their fumble against Sammy and Jey, and Rhea's like, what the hell was this? She gets real mad, and then we end up finding out that Finn Balor has made it official, obviously through Adam Pearce, that we're going to be beating him and JD going up against Sammy and Jey in the main event. And then there's a moment where Carlito accidentally rats out Dom Mysterio, and Rhea grabs him and is like, fuck it, we're going to the ring, mate. So then Sheamus is catching up with Jackie Redmond, and she's really confused about what's been happening, and Sheamus is like, yeah, I'm really confused about this entire Pete thing too. Like, I thought we were buddies. We're in the Brawling Brutes together. Like, I really don't know what's going on. We've got two different ways we can settle this issue. We can settle it in the pub with a pint, or in the ring, and we can find out who the real Bruiserweight is. As Carlito decided to rat out Dom Mysterio, Rhea's like, nah, we're going out to the ring. So she goes out to the ring with Dom, and she ends up pushing Dom in the ring, and she yells for Liv to come out and grab him. She's like, if you want him, he's yours. So Liv ends up standing at the top of the arena, kind of like in the seating area, and she's like, I'm not going to come down there. I've had a lot of self-control. I've waited for you all this time, and I can continue to wait for you until SummerSlam. I came out because I have feelings for Dom, and I know he has feelings for me too, and he normally doesn't go for girls like you. He goes for gorgeous girls like me, and showed her ass. And I'm like, cool, but do you actually wrestle well? That's going to get me into a lot of hot water, but guess what? I kind of don't really care. So there's a moment where Rhea Ripley looks like she's going to run out of the ring and just completely maul the crap out of Liv Morgan. Dom ends up stopping her. He ends up grabbing her. He has the microphone in his hand and he says, look, I'm going to say four? He said 3 words. Oh my goodness. But he said 4. He's like, I'm going to say 3 words to you, but he ended up saying more than that. But anyway, he basically said that he hates Liv Morgan and asks if she is stupid or deaf. He doesn't like her, how she has ruined his life. He can't stand her, and she's ruined everything for him, I should say. She ends up getting absolutely roasted. But what happened, which was really cool in this moment, is WWE did this thing I've never seen them do before. They had like a split screen, so they had Liv on one side and Rhea and Dom in the ring on the other. So you got to see the in-time reactions from both people, from both parties. And it was just so funny for Liv Morgan to finally get her karma back. I'm like, thank God, Rhea, thank you for coming home. Thank you for getting Dom to roast Liv Morgan. I screamed when he was like, I hate you. I was like, oh, just like the deadbeat dad. But anyway, it was so funny. And then Rhea Ripley ended up licking Dom Mysterio. So I'm like, love to see it. Head back to the ring where we have the match between Zelina Vega and Zoe Stark. This is obviously off the back of what happened last week, how Shayna attacked Zelina's arm, and then we ended up seeing this match get made official. It is quite short in length, but you know, Zelina did really well for fighting with one arm. Zoe was super impressive during this match. She had some really great power on display. Zoe tries to go for Zelina's arm a couple of times, and she ends up attacking her as well, but Zelina fights back. There's a moment where they meet at the top of the ring post, and obviously Zoe is going to attack Zelina's arm. She hits an incredible missile drop kick, but then Zelina's fighting from underneath. She goes to set up the 619 and Shayna gets involved, and the team of Lyra, Kaden, and Katana end up getting involved. Zelina hits the code red to secure the win, which I think this was the great move, but just looks a bit terrible that you've got a new faction forming and one of your members just got beaten with a girl with one arm. I don't know. There's a moment where Xavier Woods is backstage talking with Adam Pearce, and he begs him to have a one-on-one match next week with Karrion Kross, which Adam Pearce does grant. Then Drew McIntyre comes in and he was like, you didn't tell me about the whole Seth Rollins being the special guest referee for this. And he just gets really frustrated with Adam Pearce, which I'm not surprised because that's just Drew's aura at this point. And we see JD and Finn warming up ahead of the main event. Jackie Redmond's catching up with the tag team champions, that is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. And she's asking about, obviously, Jade and Bianca. And they basically said, you know, we've been going to SmackDown with former messages for the former champs. We run this division, but the team of Shayna, Zoe, and Sonya? See, they need a name already. They get upset and they basically say that we are your biggest issue now and we are running the division and we're going to take those titles off of you. So I'm looking forward to that fresh matchup. Gunther had a TED Talk style video package, which I also really enjoyed as well too. And we hit the main event, which is Sami Zayn and Jey Uso taking on JD and Finn Balor. Now, Judgment Day were very much in control for majority of this match. We end up having Finn and Jey facing off at the start. And Jey works really hard on Finn, but JD and Finn, as they are a tag team and they are a cohesive tag team, they end up working the other team quite a bit together during this match. There's a lot of hot tags coming in from both of them. They're very much taking turns at beating down on the challengers. Now, Sammy comes in and he clotheslines and he Hogan's up, which I literally wrote in my notes because out of nowhere he just comes out and just kills everybody basically. Judgment Day take control and then we end up seeing Jey get the hot tag, an Uso splash come in from Jey. Finn hits the sling blade and there's a lot of carnage at the end and Jey and Sammy end up winning the match. But Bron Breakker comes out and spears Sami Zayn at the end of the show. I feel like we're looking at the new Intercontinental Champion. I don't know. But a woman can dream. And I think it's happening. And I think I like it. And sadly, that brings us to the end of this week's Monday Night Raw review. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, you should go ahead and like the video and comment something down below, whether it is a highlight, a lowlight, or something that you're enjoying to the build of SummerSlam. Go ahead and put your thoughts down in the comments. We would love to know what you guys are thinking about the show so far, because I'm really enjoying reviewing them at the moment. I'm finding they are so much more cohesive and they are just so much more enjoyable. If you guys have not done so already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We would love for you to join the Outcasted family. While you're there as well too, you can click the bell icon. That's the notifications. If you hit that, you will not miss any of our future uploads. We would hate for you to miss those. While you're there as well too, you've got the description down below. You can find all of the links to Outcasted OC on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as where you can find all of us independently on our socials, so you do not miss any of our content when we are not posting on the channel. As always, you've got your regularly scheduled NXT review coming in from Reese this week, and then the podcast on Thursday is actually a pop culture episode, so G and myself will not be on the podcast this week as it's a boys episode, but that's okay because we will come back in clutch for the reviews and for next week's podcast as well too. You've got your SmackDown review coming in later on this week from either G or Ross, but I will see you guys in the podcast and in the review next week. I hope you guys have a really great day, evening, whatever time you're watching this, and if it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you should be asleep because you've got work the next day, turn the video off, but go ahead and give us the view first. Alright, bye guys.